Lauren Bush Lauren, designer, philanthropist, and mom. A member of not one, but two iconic families, the granddaughter of former President George H.W. Bush and daughter-in-law of Ralph Lauren. Determined to tackle the world's hunger crisis, she started the handbag collection Feed in 2007. Proceeds from the sale of the bags go toward feeding the hungry in nations around the globe, the company providing over 100 million meals so far.
The issue of hunger really is so massive and overwhelming and very abstract. Why not combine this love for design and entrepreneurship with a really tangible, meaningful way to give back?
When she isn't giving back, Lauren is caring for her growing family. Married to David Lauren, an executive in his dad Ralph Lauren's fashion empire, the couple has two sons, James and Max. Last December, Lauren delivered the first reading at her grandfather's moving funeral.
Nations shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn.
Now she's launching a new George H.W. Bush Points of Light Award, honoring her late grandfather's memory by celebrating individuals changing the world. And Lauren Bush Lauren is here. Good morning. It's so good to see you.
Thank you, Savannah.
We were just joking. We're having Bush withdrawal. Jenna's out on maternity leave. We need you to come in here.
Glad I could be a stand-in.
Tell me about this new award, this Points of Light Award.
Yeah, so we're starting the first ever George H.W. Bush Points of Light Award. My grandfather, over 30 years ago, started Points of Light, and basically every day did a daily Points of Light that actually, almost until his passing, he would personally sign. So it is something he truly cared about.
Praising
volunteerism and really shining a light on people who are lights themselves and doing great work in their communities. So with his passing, we just thought it was a really wonderful opportunity to shine an extra light on a few individuals who are really making the world a better place.
And you're going to do two kind of well-known people and then two people just from everyday walks of life.
Yeah, we really want people doing a varied ages, varied work globally, but also here in the U.S. And yeah, it's going to be really, really special.
You know, I was just looking at the footage. Of course, you did the reading at your Gampy's funeral, and it was so moving because people talked about him and his life. And one of the things they talked about was his humility and his service.
Yeah.
What are your memories?
I mean, so many. And I think what was such a standout during his passing, but always in being around him, was just how kind and how empathetic and how he really made a point of going out of his way to be kind and to make those gestures, to write that letter that was really meaningful to someone, to say hello to a waiter, to ask them about their family.
I read that he had a kind of, not a secret, but not many people knew, had a pen pal relationship with a little boy in the Philippines.
That was a total shocker. And it's exactly that. It was so illustrative of those kind, amazing gestures he did, even just quietly. I mean, you probably remember when he shaved his head in solidarity with the boy who had cancer.
A boy he didn't know until that moment.
Yeah, so very, very, very special person and human, and we miss him a lot. But I think are trying now as best we can to sort of carry on in his example. And this award is definitely a way to do that.
Well, I have a big exclusive this morning because I know one of the recipients we can announce is
Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks?
Yeah.
And why did you choose Garth?
We chose Garth because he is actually, beyond being an extremely talented singer-songwriter, an amazing philanthropist. His foundation, Teammates for Kids, has actually helped raise over $100 million to help kids' causes. And he and his wife, Trisha Yearwood, actually go out quite often and participate in Habitat for Humanity. So really,
they built a lot of houses.
Yeah, very hands-on volunteers and just doing a lot of good, but doing it in a way, too, that was kind of humble. And I think in a way that my grandfather would have really appreciated.
Yeah, to give quietly, not necessarily when everyone's watching. Garth gave us a statement. He said, the fact that this award is a reflection of 41, his beloved Barbara, and the work they believed is the greatest honor. An award is only as good as its recipient. My hope and goal is to make the Bush family and the honorary chairs proud. Garth Brooks is the first name on this award. Pretty cool.
It is.
What do you think your grandmother would think about this? Because it's cool that he mentioned her, too. They were such a package deal.
They were such a package deal. So even though my grandfather's name is the one on the award itself, in my mind, they're just forever interlinked. And she herself, you know, she carries on in terms of her philanthropy with literacy and family literacy. So she was a very bright points of light and obviously a support to my grandfather.
Lauren, thank you so much. It's good to see you. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
giving
Savannah.
us a Bush fix.
I know.
By the way,
for
all
having me.
former living presidents are honorary chairs for
They
this award.
are, which is pretty special.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank
it's
you,
good
Savannah.
to see you.